Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a program exclusively designed to promote reproductive health awareness and discuss fertility preservation options. Here is your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
She's known as the Egg Whisperer.
Fertility expert Dr. Amy Avazadeh.
And you have yet another success story
Just launched by an East Bay fertility doctor.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me on tonight's Egg Whisperer Show. The title, The Facts About Egg Quality and How to Improve It. If you're one of my patients, you'll know which egg quality supplements and sperm quality supplements I want you to be on. I spell it out, I tell you which doses to take, I also make my recommendations as far as which brands to get. But if you're not my patient, I want you to learn from this too. No matter where you live in the world, no matter what brands you have access to, there is a way for you to create your own egg beauty regimen or sperm fitness, I don't know what the word is, challenge or beauty regimen too. So I hope you'll watch this show and learn a lot. So you see on this slide behind me, there are a whole bunch of swimmers, okay? So that's what happens each month. And when I mean swimmers, I actually don't mean sperm. I mean eggs. Every month, there are a whole bunch of eggs that just line up, ready to run a race or swim a race. But at the end of the race, only one swimmer wins, and that's the egg that ovulates, and all the swimmers get out of the pool, and they never go back to the locker room. And the thing is that no matter how many swimmers win the race, you're not running out of swimmers because it doesn't affect what's going on in the locker room. So you're probably like, what the heck is she talking about? But let me tell you, every month you have a certain number of eggs that can potentially ovulate. Only one egg ovulates, and the rest basically disappear. They get out of the pool. They don't go back in the locker room. And what picks which egg wins that race? Well, a signal called FSH hormone. FSH is secreted by the brain and it talks to our ovaries. And at just enough of a signal intensity, one egg ovulates. Sometimes some women will ovulate more than one egg, and that's how you can get pregnant naturally with twins. And through fertility treatment, for example, if you're taking fertility pills, you'll ovulate maybe 1.5 eggs, and that's why fertility pill cycles have about a 8 to 10% chance of twins associated with them. So if you understand my swimmer locker room analogy, you'll also understand that I'm a fertility doctor that's sitting in as a lifeguard at the side of the pool. And I'm throwing little life vests to the eggs, so hopefully I'm saving as many as possible. And I'm not helping my patients run out of eggs faster or sooner. No matter how many eggs win that race at the end, you're not going to go into menopause earlier. So for example, if I retrieved 20 eggs from a patient this month or during an egg retrieval that I did on her, she's not going to go into menopause 20 months sooner or earlier in her life. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions about going through fertility treatment, that somehow it's going to harm your fertility. And then what happens is that over time, the number of swimmers that sit waiting in the locker room, they go down, and that's normal. So by the time a woman is, let's say, 40, for example, the swimmers that are in the locker room waiting to run that or swim that race, maybe there's going to be 3 to 5 swimmers each cycle. And then after 6 months, it might go down by 1 until ultimately we don't have any swimmers waiting in the locker room, and that's what we call menopause. And society has changed, and as women are, doing things later in life, like, finding the right partner, or basically just deciding to have a baby later in life with or without a partner, well, what happens is that our egg viability is going lower and lower. So it's so important to know what things you can do at whatever age you're at to improve your egg quality before you're done with the family size that you want. And here are some of the tips that I share with my patients. First thing, CoQ10. And this is a brand that I recommend to my patients. It's from a company, and the company name is Theralogics. You can use a code 105401 to get the discount that's offered on their website. If you know me just a little bit, you know that no one's paying me a single thing to make these recommendations, and the company is not paying me anything. I don't even get a free bottle of CoQ10 for making this recommendation to you. but I just want to make sure that patients know what the best quality supplements are out there so that you can feel really good about ordering something and not having to do as much research on your own. So 1 tablet of ubiquinol, and that's the form of CoQ10 that's in this bottle, is equivalent to about 750 milligrams of CoQ10. I ask my patients to take between 600 and 900 milligrams of CoQ10 per day. And so if you're taking the ubiquinol form, you can usually get that amount in about 250 milligrams of ubiquinol. So how does this work, you should be asking me? Well, it can decrease inflammation in the body. That's number 1. But what it can also do is improve the mitochondria of your cells. So every egg that I help a patient ovulate, I want to believe that it is a good egg. But what happens once it tries to get fertilized, or it allows a sperm cell to fertilize it, is the cell divisions may not be as precise as they were when the mitochondria was healthier and stronger, for example, when we were younger. So CoQ10 might help energize. Think of an Energizer bunny, and there are a couple other things that might help energize us, meaning help that battery run faster and longer, and I'll share some of those other supplements as well. And the CoQ10 isn't just for eggs, it is also for sperm. So this is on my list of things to recommend to both the sperm source and the egg source. So another important thing to take if you're going to do anything, take CoQ10, and you can even start in your 20s. And I tell patients to even take it in pregnancy. There are some prenatal vitamins that have CoQ10 in them as well. And I imagine that more and more prenatals are going to have CoQ10 in there also. But taking CoQ10 with a good prenatal vitamin that has vitamin D and fish oil is also key to improving your egg quality and fertility. So this is a prenatal vitamin that I recommend, and you can just look at the ingredients and see why. It's from Orthomolecular, and it has vitamin D 2000 IUs. It also has folate in it in the form of methyl tetrahydrofolate, as well as DHA. All of these things also reduce inflammation, and they can also improve things like not just your bone health, but by maintaining your vitamin D level at its optimal level, you're also preventing things like perhaps Alzheimer's when you're older, breast cancer when you're older. So I want my patients to know, and they do, how important vitamin D is also for their pregnancy. So vitamin D deficiency has also been linked to autism in offspring. And it's important for me to check this level and make sure that the vitamin D level is at least over 30, but the ideal level that I aim for is around 50 for my patients. So here are some other antioxidants that I also recommend. Acai berry at around 1,000 milligrams a day. And there's a website, it's vitacost.com, VITACOST, and you can put any of the supplements that I'm reviewing with you today into that website, and you can kind of see what form is palatable to you. Some people like liquid vitamins, some people like powders, some people like pills. And I certainly don't want you to feel like you're a pharmacy swallowing pills all day long. So find a form that you think you'll like. Some patients like to take acai powder and put it into their smoothies, for example. So acai powder has been shown to improve egg health. There was a very nice study done not that long ago showing an improvement in pregnancy rates in patients who took this. So take it now, and then you can even take it later. And there are places around here in California, kind of like yogurt shops, called they sell something called Vitality Bowls. And there's a reason why they're called Vitality Bowls, because it's been shown to be a pretty good anti-aging substance. So here we go, the Energizer Bunny. So far, all of the things that I've described to you help that battery keep running so that the mitochondria will work properly. So that's the biggest issue as we get older, is you can have 20 eggs extracted when you're 25, but if you have those same, let's say another batch of 20 eggs extracted when you're 40, certainly they're not going to behave the same compared to when you're 25 because the mitochondria is older. Melatonin. So when I tell my patients to take melatonin, they always say to me, and I have to always preface my recommendation for melatonin first by saying, I'm not worried about you falling asleep quickly, but melatonin has been shown in a very nice Japanese study to also improve egg quality at a dose of 3 milligrams per night. So what I tell my patients to do is buy 1 milligram tablets, and you can take 3 per night. And then if you find out that you have funky dreams, for example, you can go down to 2 milligrams. If your dreams are still funky, you can go down to 1 milligram tablets and give yourself the flexibility to get some sort of benefit from it. If you don't like it, don't take it. If you have problems with your thyroid, make sure that your thyroid's normal first. Some people are worried about it being habit forming, but melatonin is a naturally occurring hormone that your brain secretes and peaks by 10 p.m. at night. So I don't worry about it being habit forming or patients becoming addicted to melatonin. I just think that it can really help with egg quality. But certainly if you hear something online or you see something in a blog or you're hearing something on my show, it doesn't mean that this is a recipe that you have to follow, but consider it. See if you think it helps you, and if it does, start it. Here is something else that I recommend to my patients, and it's called pterostilbene. It's similar to resveratrol, and in my office I also stock resveratrol. So these are all very potent antioxidants that I ask my patients to take as well. So this is something that's very easy to get. It's very easy to tolerate, just 1 pill per day. And the side effect profile is so minimal that I've never had a patient complain taking this medication as a supplement. And it can also help potentially with egg quality. So this is nicotinamide riboside. It is a derivative of vitamin B, and this company, Tru Niagen, makes it. This, however, does have some side effects. Patients may feel some headaches, some chest palpitations, and that doesn't sound good, and maybe feel a little bit anxious. So if you start any supplement and you find something like a rash or you just feel not your normal self, please stop it. Don't try and tough it out. It's really not worth it. But I've had patients, for example, who have done, let's say, the last case that I can think of, 5 IVF cycles, not even a single blastocyst, and they're over the age of 40. And then they start some of these supplements, including the Tru Niagen NAD and the pterostilbene. And then their 6th cycle, believe it or not, they have 5 blastocysts and 3 are normal, and they're 41 years old. So I've seen some tremendous results, but just because I've seen them in one patient certainly doesn't mean I'm going to see them in everyone. But these findings I want to share with you because these supplements are easy to get online, and I think it's important for people to know that there might be some benefit. I don't know why in some people they benefit more than others, but there are some very good clinical studies to show how supplements like this can help with anti-aging. And the way I think about it, if they're helping with anti-aging, they're probably helping with egg quality too. So I'm 43 years old, and I actually am doing a study on myself. So I've started taking many of these supplements, not because I'm trying to get pregnant, but I'm trying to understand how these supplements will affect my final menstrual period date, meaning when I go through menopause. Because theoretically, if they could potentially slow down my rate of egg loss, potentially, I may go through menopause much later than I would have expected. So I'm checking my FSH levels, my AMH levels over time, and I'm actually going to see what happens to them. Is the rate of change going to be slower because of these supplements or not? And definitely just having one person in this study of mine isn't going to be that helpful, but I certainly think that it's going to be interesting, and it's not that hard for me to do. So now on to another supplement, myo-inositol and inositol. This is a brand called Ovasitol, and again, you can get it from this company, Theralogics, and you can still use the code 105401 for the discount that you can see on the website. And again, no money comes to me, but I recommend this also for egg quality, but it can also help women who have metabolic issues and PCOS. So Ovasitol and a couple of the supplements that I'm going to show you in a second can also help reduce testosterone levels, improve insulin resistance, and those things could potentially be done in a way that you can accomplish without taking a prescription drug like metformin. I do use metformin quite often in patients with high testosterone and insulin resistance, but I also try to be as natural as possible with my recommendations, and in PCOS patients I recommend a good prenatal, CoQ10, Ovasitol, and the following 2 supplements that I'm going to share with you right now. N-acetylcysteine as well as lipoic acid. So these are my 3 go-to supplements for patients with PCOS, in addition to CoQ10, a prenatal that has vitamin D and fish oil in it. There are some PCOS supplements out there, PCOS blends that have all of these things right there in them. So Coast Science makes one brand of a PCOS supplement that has everything in there that you may need. So do some research, do some shopping, see what you can tolerate, and don't make yourself sick to your stomach. That's really key. I don't want you to be taking so many supplements that you're feeling nauseous all the time. Take it easy, and in the end, you've heard that saying that food is medicine. So really focus on a balanced, healthy diet, getting lots of colorful fruits and vegetables on your plate, because that in the end is probably more important than many of the supplements that I'm reviewing with you right now. So here's something else that a lot of people have talked about, especially when it comes to women with the term DOR, and I hate that term, decreased ovarian reserve. So I don't like that term because I know that it just takes one egg to have a healthy pregnancy, but certainly when you have a low follicle count, we want to do everything to increase that egg count. I do think that HGH, that's something that I use, may improve the egg count, and I sometimes start it even 2 months before an egg retrieval cycle. I used to use DHEA all the time, and I still think that there is a role that DHEA can play in some patients, but this is the problem with DHEA. It can get converted to testosterone, and high levels of testosterone, that's toxic to eggs. It's really not good for eggs at all. So if I have a patient that really wants to try DHEA, or I'm considering it for them, I'll have them check a testosterone level at the beginning and then once a month, because some of the changes associated with the high testosterone from DHEA can potentially be irreversible, like deepening of the voice. If you notice that you have worsening of acne, or let's say hair growth that you haven't seen before in places, for example on your chin or upper lip, then that could be a sign that maybe your testosterone levels are going up from the DHEA. So you may want to consider stopping it. The recommended dose that has been studied in some clinical trials is 75 milligrams per day, but certainly not everyone needs that high of a dose. I tell patients to get 25 milligram tablets, and you can start at 75 and then titrate down, or just take 25 milligrams a day, but certainly it's not for everybody. And a recent study has shown that it actually may not be for good for egg quality at all. I have seen some benefits to it, so I'm not ready to say no, you shouldn't take it, but I certainly individualize my egg beauty regimen for my patients based on what their story is. So now for guys and what they can take to improve sperm health. So there are really two things that I tell guys to do, and that's take a supplement called Conception XR, as well as Proxeed Plus. Proxeed Plus has high dose L-carnitine in it, and Conception XR is basically an antioxidant blend. I also tell guys to take vitamin D, fish oil, and CoQ10. So I know it's a lot, but as women, we're getting poked and probed all the time. When you go through an IVF cycle, you're getting poked and probed, at least it feels like 10 times. And so for a guy to do something to improve their sperm health that involves just taking some pills, I think it's the least that they can do, and it can certainly help. So now something that sounds a little bit, maybe not so traditional, and maybe something that you haven't heard before. So if you haven't watched the Iceman, Wim Hof, on YouTube or seen him on any TV shows, I strongly recommend that you spend a little time learning the Wim Hof method of deep breathing and meditation. There's something to say about reducing inflammation in the body and how that can help prevent certain diseases. Can it help with sperm health? I don't know. Can it improve egg health? I really don't know. But I do know that some of the research showing how deep breathing and meditation can help reduce inflammation in the body is impressive. So I would take time to find a meditation practice that you think works for you, because at the end of the day, it won't hurt your egg quality, but it can certainly help your mental and emotional well-being going through the process. I know that when I go through treatments with patients that I'm not hurting them. I'm not going to affect the length of their life or increase their risk for certain diseases, but I do definitely worry about the emotional impact of treatments that don't work, the depression that can follow, the PTSD that patients describe to me. So no matter how positive I am, I want to equip my patients with things like mindfulness practices that I think that will work. But you got to watch this guy. It's a trip. And then maybe you can actually go to the Arctic on one of his trips and see how you fare after you learn the exercises. But I tell my patients, for example, when I'm doing procedures on them, to go to your happy place. And I really want that happy place to be immediate in your head. I want you to know what the sky looks like, what the leaves smell like, what the floor sounds like as you're walking on it. So it's important to have that ready to go so that when you're feeling a little bit stressed, and sometimes a lot of stress when you're a fertility patient, knowing these practices can reduce inflammation in your body as well. So some cheap tricks to improve sperm quality. I mean, I just went through some supplements and they're not cheap at all, but something as simple as Airborne, loaded with vitamin C and zinc, can help. And there are some supplements similar to Airborne, and Emergency is another one, and sometimes they even have acai berry. So, if you're someone that feels like they can't load up on all these vitamins, that's okay. Just drop an Airborne in your water and, your sperm could potentially benefit from that. There have been some very nice studies literally showing that just 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C with 75 milligrams of zinc was enough to improve sperm health after about 2 to 3 months of therapy. So I don't want you to feel like you have to spend a ton of money on these supplements. You can really spend very little in comparison and still get some benefit. So you guys, thank you for watching tonight's show. Again, my show is not in place of recommendations by your personal physician, but I hope you learned a lot. I think every woman who is not done with their family should definitely be on CoQ10 and a multivitamin. And then once you're done with the family size that you want, then you can potentially stop the CoQ10. But there's no better time than now to start that. And I hope you learned a ton, and I can't wait to share more pearls of fertility wisdom next week. You guys have a great night. Bye.
Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a program exclusively designed to promote reproductive health awareness and discuss fertility preservation options. Here is your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
She's known as the Egg Whisperer.
Fertility expert Dr. Amy Avazadeh.
And you have yet another success story.
Just launched by an East Bay fertility doctor.